lot here. Hey there, I'm Stace. Welcome back to my channel. I've been doing some meal prep for my crew of 5. And this week I've done things a little bit different. I've really concentrated on our fermented foods. Below in the description is the link to all of the recipes so you can grab them for yourself. Be sure to subscribe and grab your hat. Your chef's hat, I mean. Let's get cooking.
2 budget hacks for you, babe. First is you got to write a list. So I organise what we're going to eat the night before I go to the markets, and then I buy exactly what I need. And I find when I shop at the markets, it's so much cheaper. Here I'm grabbing my stuff from the free range butcher. I love their preservative-free snags, and I get all of my organic fruit and veg. I've spent just on $200 for this week. It's a lot cheaper than usual because I still had some leftovers from last week. I'll show you that in a sec. Checking out my list, feeling like a rock star that I grabbed all that I needed. And then the thing that I do is I get my sink of water on with the cleaner for my veg. And before I put it away, I kind of just wash it. So literally it just goes from my markets trolley straight in to be washed. And then I put out my tea towels for them to dry off. You could absolutely use your time, eat like super duper well and get going on something else. But this is kind of how I do it. I thought you'd have a little giggle here too at look at how I do my berries. I know there's amazing plastic containers that you can use to clean all these off, but I'm a bit of a hippie and we don't have any plastic containers in my home. So once it's all dried off, it's just going to sit there and do its thing. Did you see here too, I was mentioning about that I had stuff leftovers. I just grab out all my drawers from the fridge. This is the leftover veg. And so I just go through that so I know what I've got before I start prepping everything. I grab out my Thermomix. It usually sits just off to the right-hand side there in my kitchen. It's kind of like a butler's area. And my slow cooker. I mean, come on, it's Stace. There's always going to be a slow cooker. And first things first is I'm getting going on a brisket. Now, I know I'm going to be using my slow cooker for something else, so I'm actually going to get this going in the oven, but it is one of my slow cooker recipes. It's like a barbecue brisket, only I'm not going to use barbecue sauce, so I'm going to go really heavy-handed on the spices. Don't worry, baby, I got your back. The recipe is just below in the description so that you can give it a try. I find that it's really ace, and whenever I'm doing these meal plans is that I kind of cook ups, is that I just want to get going, on one thing that I know is going to cook the whole time and keep me motivated because I can smell it. Now, a tip to do this meal prep without any stress is clean up as you go. You'll often see that I'm just around at the back, washing something off in the sink, but mostly putting stuff in my dish drawers. And now I'm moving on to my ferments. I like to think about stuff that's going to take longer to set in the fridge that I get onto quicker. So I'm making some spoon jelly and getting going on making some fermented juice. The reason that I ferment juice for my crew is that it removes the fructose in it, but best of all, packs it absolutely full of all of the good bugs that can boost our immune system. My crew love it, and yeah, it works great. I'm also making some of my homemade coconut yogurt that I'm just blending here with some mango. I also sneak in some turmeric. It is such a cheap way to make your own ferments. And the best bit is that you are getting like so much more bang for your buck than just having a probiotic pill. I teach all this in my video and recipe fermenting course. If you just use the link below, you can grab that. And honestly, it is just such a game changer for your crew's health. I'm now making up some Bliss balls, and I wanted to give you this hack as well, right? I'm making them up and I'm putting in all the good stuff, even some MCT oil, which is brilliant for our brains, and some fresh oranges. They taste delish. But I don't need to make these up perfectly all now. In saying that, my sweet little guy is off on a bike ride and he was on to me and he's like, oh, I'll take a few of those with me. But I wanted to give you that idea that when you're prepping, is that you can leave some of these on the side, right? And I could be rolling them up in between other jobs that's going on in this meal prep. And you kind of only know that when you write down the recipes that you're going to be making, and you can be like, okay, cool, right, I'll get the jelly into the fridge to set. I'm going to get the brisket into the oven to cook, and then I can start working my way back of things that take, like, are going to need setting time versus things that, like a salad, that I'll do right at the very end because they're absolutely instant. I am going to make some bone broth. Now, usually I'll make that in my slow cooker, and you'll see the recipe below for that. But I wanted to make sure you knew this hack. Every time that I'm prepping, I put a little bowl out, and I put the ends of the carrots, celery, onions, skins, all of that in it. And then I freeze them into my bags in the freezer. Once that bag is full, I kind of use that as a cue to go, okay, it's time to make some broth. The benefit of it is it's going to make my broth taste better, but nutritionally, I'm also going to get all of that goodness in there as well, which is just brilliant. Now, my Thermomix bowl is dirty, so that means I can keep going with another recipe that I wanted to be making. Use that as another tip there, darling, so it will make you feel less overwhelmed. If you're like, how could I get all of this prep done? Just have a look at it and be like, okay, well, actually, I could do this, and then, I could do that, and I don't need to clean it up. So let's get going on some dinners. This one I'm making up, actually, it's not even a dinner, it's kind of a brekkie, is my Moroccan shushka, I think we call it, with eggs. It's from one of my fermenting courses, and usually I make it with mince, but the diced lamb was on sale at the markets today, so I've grabbed that. I am just making it a little bit smaller, and then all of that goes straight into my slow cooker. I often use my slow cooker to make breakfasts. Sometimes I'll use it and I'll make oats overnight in it with some gorgeous rhubarb and slow cooked apples that are brilliant in it. But this is a cool one because I can kind of make it up, and now I'm going to have enough for the week. And then also I can give it to the kids probably with a little bit of pasta and a whole heap more veg through it, and it's going to be great. So if you're new in this meal prep area, I really recommend using your slow cooker during this process because it'll do one meal at least with a whole heap of leftovers, so maybe it even becomes 2 meals. All right, I'm going to get going on my cookie dough that I made up. I use a small ice cream scoop to make my cookies. Why? Because it doesn't make my hands super dirty. And then also too, the cookies are the same size. I just push them down with a fork. Into the oven they go. And I'm doing a little recap, tick, 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 of everything that I have achieved so far. It's a nice little motivator. And now I'm going to get going on making some more of my dinners. So we're having some skewers, some lamb kofta skewers. You'll notice that maybe my prep is a little bit different to others. I don't always make up every single meal start to finish, but what I do is I do prep them. So those skewers will make fresh on the barbecue, but there's no reason that I can't make them up. They'll sit with all the spices and taste delish. Getting the dishwasher on. And I also went to the fish markets here in Sydney. It's not too far from my home. And I've bought a whole heap of fish for probably the next 2 to 3 weeks, to be honest. So I'm just going through and chopping them up. I'll put them in containers. Some will go in the freezer, some will go in the fridge, but I'm portioning them up into enough for each meal, right? And then also the stuff we're going to eat during the week, which is some prawns as really great protein snacks. I line a Pyrex container with paper towel, and that's the way that I do it. This fish we are going to be eating this week, so I did some salt and pepper and lemon rind on it, and I'm going to make up the salad that will go with it as well. So that dressing, it's kind of like an Asian one. Delish. I want to make that up now because not only do I not have to think about it the night of, but this just means that it is going to taste even more yum because it's ready to go. All right, onto some sweet potato fries. Would you look at those? Have you ever come across a purple one? Let me know in the comments. I love chatting with you guys in the comments. Do you regularly see them? Because for me, it literally blew my mind. I thought that they were just going to be white inside. Okay. When I'm making sweet potato fries, I cut lots of salt and pepper, and I also love putting on some garlic powder as well. On to my next meal. It's going to be some little chicken strips. So today I'm using almond meal, but you could be using breadcrumbs. I always put some herbs in there. So that was salt and pepper, garlic, onion powder. Smoked paprika is also a really yummy one. And then I just chop up my chicken breasts into those size. And would you look at that? That'll do us like for 2 dinners, or the way I tend to do it is 1 dinner and then leftovers for 2 to 3 days for the kids' lunch boxes. Checking out my brisket, putting back on one of my oven trays as a lid. It's a really good hack to do it this way if you don't want to be using foil. I don't want that aluminium touching my food, but also too, I don't need something else. You know, I can use just what we have. I'm going to check out the slow cooker, and then I'm thinking through, with all of these meals, what are we having on the sides? What can I prep? So I have these big Pyrex containers. They are, the really big ones there are 11 cups. And I find that that's a really great size for my crew to be able to have enough, like that's enough veg for us for dinner. Do you remember before I was making up that Asian dressing? I'm using my little julienne peeler, and I've done some daikon with carrot, and I'm even going to put the ginger in there and the shallots on top. I'll make up the salad dressings. Oh my gosh, I'll be sure to link this one below. This is my favorite. It is in my Recipe a Week club, which I would love you guys in. That is my membership where I share a brand new recipe with you every week with a video and kind of just motivate you to cook something different each week and add to your repertoire something healthy. This apple cider and mustard dressing, oh my God, it's so good, is in there. The best bit is that Recipe a Week club is $10 a month or $99 for the whole year. All right, now we're on to some more ferments. So I'm chopping up some carrots. I'm using that same starter to ferment. Look at all those good bugs. My carrots. How do we eat these? Well, Dylan, I'll put them on the side of dinner. I kind of just either take over that jar because I'm pretty lazy, or I'll pull them out and put them into a little bowl, and we will eat them on the side of dinner. What's the benefit of that? Well, when we're eating these foods that are rich with probiotics, they are going to help us digest our food and also absorb it. I'm having a little swig here of something else that's fermented. Don't forget, linked below is my fermenting course. So if your crew is always on this thing of getting sick and you're like, you know what, I really need to stop relying on a probiotic pill, I've got to start, putting this into our diet so that it's so much cheaper. You'll love that I'll teach you all of these hacks, because what I'm doing now is chopping up some apples and I'm fermenting those. They'll remove all of the fructose out of them, so there'll be a lot less sugar in them, but I'll still get all the fiber and goodness of eating a whole fruit, but I'll get that added benefit, love this, of that probiotic hit. So I'm just using a little weight there to make sure that the apples are below the liquid, and I'll leave them out on the bench for about 24 hours and they're done. So don't be thinking that ferments are going to take, 5 years to be done. They're not. They're so quick. I am making up a brownie mixture. So that is going to go into the oven because I know that my sweet potato chips are done. Do you see how it's kind of like this idea of going, all right, because I'm organized, I know what I'm cooking, I can cook that. When it's done, this can go in the oven. And now I get to pull everything together. This is the real motivator, and honestly, this is the stuff that keeps me doing this week in, week out. If you look here at my list, you can watch all of the different weeks that I have done, and you'll be able to get some real motivation to be like, okay, like some weeks I just do the dinners, and then this week, like I'm really concentrating on the ferments. There's been other weeks where I make a whole heap of my freezer dump bags. If you don't know what they are, get ready for your life to be changed. It's so good. All right, look at this spread. I'm feeling so good. I am done. This looks amazing. We have enough for breakfast. We have enough for lunches. We've got our dinners. And I've got a whole heap of these gut healing snacks. Be sure to check out the description below because I link you through to all the ferments I make. And make sure too, when you're down there in that description, that you follow along with me on Facebook and Instagram, because each day there I'm sharing, oh look, this is how I put together the salad that I prepped and how we're gobbling it up. These ideas will give you so much motivation to prep for your family. Make sure you subscribe because next week will be a little different too. Oh, look at these little sweet potatoes. See you on the next video.